we are streaming now live to YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank to the audience. First of all, as president of the European Academy of Science, I'm very honored to have on this webinar organized by Professor Sheda, the Chief of Basic Science Engineering Technology of UNESCO, Professor Amal Kasri, and to speak about a topic that should impact on all our lives, which is science for a shared future. And when we speak about shared future, it means that we aim comfort and welfare to all, and also prosperity is connected to what we can do in favor of science. And indeed, as I used to say, we make science in the name of the people and in favor of the people. It's no more for a bench of people, and this is absolutely fantastic to hear someone that is great responsibilities for us as a global system, as a global and united set of people that fights for the great values of prosperity with comfort and welfare for all. And saying so is also a great honor for us as Academy to have this so relevant webinars organized by a fantastic of our fellows, Professor Sheda, that I believe he is doing the best in favor of our Academy. And I think this is to be noted by all of us. Thank you very much. I gave now the floor to Professor Sheda.
Thank you very much, Professor Martin. Thank you, Dr. Amal Kasri, for accepting our invitation. So good evening and good afternoon. Good morning if you are in America and in China, in America. Dear friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm delighted to welcome you to the seminar series of 2016-2026, and it's our opportunity to engage with science and society. This webinar is being recorded and live on YouTube also. My name is Shahzada. I'm a professor at the University of Barcelona of Material Science. And for the next 1 hour, I'm joined by Dr. Amal Kasri, and I have a great pleasure of introducing him today. She is representing UNESCO. Director General has sent her as a Ministry of UNESCO. She's the Chief of Section for Research, Innovation, Engineering in the Natural Science sector of the UNESCO, where she leads global program in basic science and engineering capacity developments. She has designed and delivered major international initiatives, including International Decade for Science for Sustainable Developments and global program in quantum science and basic science for sustainability. Prior to UNESCO, she was internationally recognized material scientist like us and nanobiotechnology researcher with position at leading institutions, including the Max Planck Institute for Polymer Research, from where I know her, IBM Research, Austrian Institute of Technology. She has authored over 60 scientific publications, and then she came into management role of science management and hold multiple patents in the advanced material for biosensing technologies. Today, Dr. Kasri will share her scientific vision and mission of UNESCO, and in particular, will talk about science for a shared future from global agendas to local impact. So it is in line with the famous quote, think global, act local. So she will also today echo these things and will teach us as to how we can make a local impact for science. This is also our goal as an academy, that we want to make science as an impact of the science, because the science is funded by taxpayer money. And so she will give us a clue and how we can double down our approach and stand for science. So again, Dr. Kasri, thank you for accepting our invitation. To all our members who have joined us today. And with this, I'd like to pass the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shahzada, Professor Martins, for the kind introduction. It's really my pleasure to be with you today, and I really thank you and appreciate this kind invitation. As the Professor Shahzada already introduced me, I am Chief of Basic Sciences and Engineering at UNESCO. We are responsible for capacity building of these fields in the different member states. We work directly with governments to strengthen their capacity in these fields, and in this presentation I will show you today how we do that, what programs we develop and we use in order to ensure strengthening this capacity. I deliberately make the presentation short and not very long, so there can be some opportunity for discussion if you like. So basically, I just would like to give you a very quick introduction about UNESCO before we start. I'm sure you know about UNESCO. It was established after the Second World War. 1945 started with 34 member states. However, now we are 194 member states. We have several over 55 regional offices during all over the world, the national and regional offices. The sciences sector refers to the S, actually the S at UNESCO refers to science, so it was one of the very first sectors that was established since the beginning. And the core mission is to promote science as a global public good and to really use science for peace and making it accessible and equitable and also mission driven. So our quote here is that science is not only about discovery, it's about who benefits from it. And I hope I will convince you during this presentation that this is what we are doing. So why science must deliver and not be just a group of quotes or just claiming coordination? The SDGs, I mean, we are all working towards achieving the SDGs, the international agreement that is coming to an end soon. SDGs cannot be achieved without a step change in how we can organize and deploy science. So, for example, there are, and this is actually what motivates us in the sciences sector. We have to address the major challenges we are facing. The world is facing major challenges: climate change, biodiversity loss, pandemics, geopolitical instability. All these actually directly impact science. Also, there is a huge educational gap. So there is 3.5 million people globally still lack access to science education, which limits greatly future innovations. Recently, I'm sure you are following on the quantum revolution now. There is a huge quantum divide, and we just published a report. Actually, it was released a few days ago based on a survey we conducted, and we have seen that there are some striking divides around the world when it comes to this field. So only 17 countries have national quantum strategies, while over 150 have none, actually. And 1/3 of the researchers reported that they don't have any access to any quantum technology. And this is a big risk and leads to more and more technological divide. Also, due to the current situation, there are many scientists facing crisis or conflict situation. And so these are all major challenges that motivates us in the sciences sector to find the solutions for, and it constitutes the basis for our work. So the section of basic sciences, engineering, technology, and innovation is really, we consider it where basic science meets real world impacts. And I want to stress here on basic or fundamental sciences because, as we all know, fundamental sciences are quite often dominated by applications. And the investments in basic sciences is getting less and less. And one of the messages we are trying to advocate for is to convince governments and the policymakers that it is extremely important to invest in fundamental sciences the same way we are investing in the applications, because it has a long-term impact. Indeed, it's not something you will see the results overnight, but it's important to understand that the impact on the long term is very important. And this is part of the division of ethics, research, and technology, which is part of the total of the whole, I mean, the sciences sector. And we work on different fields, as you see here, all these our current programs, basic sciences, as I said, and this is under the umbrella of what is called the International Basic Sciences Program. For this program, we have a council or an advisory board of 12 eminent scientists from all regions around the world who advise us and advise UNESCO on the trends and what we can do to advance fundamental sciences worldwide. Also, the STEM education program In the STEM education program, we focus more on the school level. So we build the capacity of the school teachers when it comes to science. And the main target here is really to build the critical or to develop the critical skills of the young people to grow up learning how to critically think, how to scientifically think, because this also, even if they will not be scientists or engineers, but the idea is that how to use the scientific way of thinking, which is extremely important. And but this is for the STEM program. However, for all programs, other programs, engineering and innovation, basic sciences, we work more with early career scientists, researchers, universities, research institutes, and so on. Also, as I said, the challenges drive us. So, due to the unfortunate recent circumstances, we developed or we are developing now Sciences in Crisis program. We are working with actually in all the organization, all the different sectors on how to support the scientists during the conflict situations. Not only conflicts due to war, it can be also due to natural disasters and so on, because as we know, it's not good for scientists to have a gap in their career. So we try to support them and develop mechanisms to help in these circumstances. We have recently, last year actually, we celebrated the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology, celebrating 100 years since the quantum theory became known. And for that, in order to continue, we initiated the Global Quantum Initiative. It's led by UNESCO and with other UN agencies, other international organizations, other international scientific unions. We are coming together to address major concerns about the quantum divide, and I will explain about this more in a minute. And we are also responsible for global observances such as the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development from 2024 until 2033. We are leading this decade. We consider it as a transformative era for our work. And among all these programs, we also have 24 Category 2 centers only in the field of basic sciences and engineering, and 61 chairs. UNESCO chairs, actually, it's a big program at UNESCO, and the UNESCO has overall almost 1,000 chairs in all the different fields, and culture and education and sciences and communication and so on. However, only under basic sciences and engineering, we have 61 chairs. The Category 2 centers are centers of excellence directly supported by the governments. They must obtain certain criteria in order to be admitted as Category 2 centers under the auspices of UNESCO. It's a very competitive and long procedures, and now we have 24 in almost all parts of the world. In Africa, there are 5 in basic sciences and 1 in engineering. And they are distributed, in all corners of the world. And the same for the UNESCO chairs, who are eminent scientists who can apply to be a UNESCO chair representing their institutions. So now let me speak about each of these programs briefly, just to give you an idea. This QR code can take you to the IBSP program, and which is the umbrella for all our activities linked to basic sciences and engineering. So it is actually IBSP is the UNESCO flagship for science, governed by International Advisory Board of eminent scientists, as I mentioned. And under this program, we have developed several major initiatives that are expanding. And first one is the remote access program. You know that the scientists in the developing world quite often they don't have access to facilities or equipment that can advanced equipment that can allow them to do high quality research. And we, in collaboration with many partners around the world, and with partners who are willing and really want to help and support giving access to their facilities, we give remote access to the scientists. So we train 1 or 2 scientists physically in Africa, for example, while all the others are trained on how to access remotely. And we do this for experimental techniques. We started, for example, with the single crystal X-ray diffractometers, which are quite expensive, sophisticated. In Africa, there are only one or two. So we started with this one, and it works really fine. The only thing is that the scientists need to send the samples to the laboratory in the West, and the one operator will be mounting it for them, and then they can do everything. And this really makes a huge difference in the quality of research, because when the scientists make the work by their own hands, it's completely different from sending samples where someone else is doing the work and sending them results where they don't know how it happened, how it worked out. So it makes really a huge difference. And we are monitoring the progress of these scientists, and we started to see some publications coming out. Now we give access to about 6 or 7 different techniques, including both experimental techniques and also high performance computers, including quantum computers, in collaboration with Cleveland Clinic in USA, and other techniques. And we are really expanding to cover all regions and all different techniques. In fact, we are just now developing a platform where we can do easily the match between the available techniques and the needs of the scientists, because we conducted a global survey for the infrastructure to understand where are the equipment that can be used remotely, and we are really creating this matching now to make it easy for people to reach out to each other. And then we have several fellowship programs, several online courses. For example, the EMBL fellowship program in collaboration with the European Molecular Biology Laboratory. We give fellowships twice a year for female African scientists. We also have open online courses, for example, to build the capacity in quantum technology. We offer online courses on quantum algorithms. And we use the remote access also for the Science and Crisis program, because for scientists who are displaced, for example, or lost their laboratory either in war or in on natural disaster, we help them to get access. For example, we are doing now for Ukrainian scientists, and we are exploring other regions as well. And it's also working. Of course, there are challenges. Of course, we need more and more partners who are willing to help and support in this to be able to give access. And then and as I said, for the STEM program to inspire the next generation, this is not the STEM program, sorry. For inspiring next generation, we also have international prizes. And these prizes are meant to recognize the scientists, but also to build the capacity also, because sometimes we combine them with the fellowship programs. The Carlos Finlay Prize for Microbiology, supported by the Cuban government, started in the 80s, last century, one of the oldest prizes at UNESCO. It's a biennial one, UNESCO Equatorial Guinea Prize. Also, this is an annual one, actually, not biennial, excuse me, this is a mistake. And it celebrates eminent scientists in the field of life sciences, combined with fellowships for African female scientists every year. And Al-Fuzan Prize, also UNESCO Al-Fuzan International Prize for STEM, it recognizes early career scientists and researchers below 40 years old in diverse in the different fields of science. So the prizes are really, as I said, it's to recognize the good scientists and also to build their capacity. And now for the STEM program, in order to deliver efficiently STEM training, we used to conduct lots of STEM training worldwide. But in order to institutionalize this training and enhance the impact, we have our new initiative, which is the Science Clubs initiative. The Science Clubs actually is an old culture in many countries. It exists in schools, in libraries, in universities. And we wanted to create a global network of these science clubs and use them to deliver the STEM training. And the STEM training here, we basically depend on hands-on tools, such as microscience kits, online, courses, AI-related tools, robotics to learn coding. So it is not about the curricula, it's about the extracurricula. It's about what the young people can learn in the schools to, as I said, to build their scientific and critical skills. And we do this successfully. We launched the African the African Network of Science Clubs. You also launched the Asia one. So we have two now. In July, we will issue the global platform to connect all these clubs together. And then we have also the engineering and the innovation program. We have a flagship under the engineering program, which is the Global Engineering Report. We issue this report every several years to report to member states on the status of engineering worldwide, globally. And this year we are now launching the third engineering report. We started working on it. And it's mainly to identify the gaps in the skills and in the field of engineering in general. Like, for example, we know that in Africa and in Latin America, there are there's huge lack of number of engineers, and we are trying to understand why and why actually young people don't want to study engineering. So the lack in the skills is also the gap when it comes to emerging technologies. What kind of changes we need to do in the engineering curricula, for example, to ensure that there are sufficient number of engineers skilled to address the major challenges worldwide. We also, in the innovation program, we organized a series of entrepreneurship boot camps, basically linking science and engineering to entrepreneurship. And this is basically to build again the innovative skills of the young researchers, the young engineers. We know that there are many scientists and engineers who have these amazing skills, but actually they don't know sometimes how to reach to the right people to help them. Now we have also the Science and Crisis program that we started developing recently. And this is a relatively new program, so I will not talk about it much now, but we are advancing a lot in it because we started developing rapid assessment forms that we can distribute in case of crisis to collect the information and understand more about what's happening worldwide. Now I will mention briefly about one of our major initiatives, which is the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. Actually, it's not our initiative, it's a member states initiative. It was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in 2023, with UNESCO being the lead agency. It's a 10 years framework to mobilize science for the SDGs. And as you know, the SDG agreement will end in 2030, while we have this decade spanning until 2033, which we consider really great opportunity to catch up and see how we can continue and ensure the continuity of addressing the different SDGs, given that most of them are not on track. So we follow a certain strategy to implement the decade, which by decentralizing the activities, the implementation through national and regional initiatives tailored to for local context. Also, we will launch the first global report this year, actually in July. And the global conference that will take place in July will mark really a big milestone in the implementation of the decade. Also, we celebrate also several international days, and one of them will be the World Science Day this year in November, where we will also recognize this, same for all other international days and years we are celebrating. The quantum revolution, as I mentioned in the beginning, is coming, and one of our main concerns is the quantum divide, the inequity that exists now, and that we are really trying to address and hopefully reduce it as we move forward. So there is huge investment now. Actually, the global investment is exceeding 50 billion US dollar now in quantum technologies, and but this huge amount of funds invested is actually concentrated in only few countries. So while implementing the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology in 2025, we observed closely. We ran a global survey to understand the research and infrastructure situation when it comes to quantum technologies, and we could see the striking facts regarding this divide. Indeed, only few countries, only few companies. So there are two gaps actually. There is a gap between the North and the South, but also there is a gap between the public and the private sector. So it is dominated by private sector, as we know. So by end of the year, we found that there is a need for a global initiative to try to address these gaps. And for that, we launched the Global Quantum Initiative with these 5 strategic objectives: to advance quantum education and strengthen institutional capacity, to build sustainable quantum infrastructure and enable resource sharing, also to advance public awareness and societal engagement, to strengthen international cooperation through science diplomacy. Science diplomacy also is a big program now at the sciences sector, and to foster responsible quantum innovation and anticipatory governance. So this is, of course, related to the ethics of this technology. And in order to do this, we started during the year. Actually, we started several activities. For example, we give access to quantum computers, as I said in the beginning, and we also train scientists on quantum algorithms. And we are continuing this, hopefully, with more activities as part now of this major initiative. For this initiative, now we have several partners with us, and also we started receiving interest from several member states. The good thing is that we also started receiving some reports from some member states informing us that they actually started already working concretely on strategies or policies for quantum technologies. We also, in order to benefit, I mentioned in the beginning about our Category 2 centers and UNESCO chairs. For us, these are very important tools because they are the experts that we can actually ask them and work with them directly. And in order to benefit from this huge network, we established also another program called the Scienza Network. The Scienza Network aims to work directly with these 24 centers and 61 chairs and really establish collaborative research projects between them, encourage them. We don't do the research here, but we encourage them to do the research together. But also they benefit us by contributing to some policy briefs, for example, to report on their work and their research. Also to develop joint capacity building projects, for example, to benefit their regions where they are, because as I said, they are from everywhere. And of course, the knowledge exchange. So we are advanced. We started this last year, this Science Network, and we are advancing in enhancing the level of collaboration between these centers and chairs. So we say that the future of science is collective, inclusive, and ethical. This is our aim, and this is what we are working hard trying to achieve. So what we are working on hard now is really to advance or scale up the Science in Crisis program, to expand the Global Quantum Initiative, and to try to achieve equity by the end of this initiative. It's a 3-year initiative, and to continue implementing the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. And hopefully by the end of the 10th year, 33, we can show that we have achieved some progress in this. And this QR code takes you to the page of the Basic Sciences, Engineering and Technology and Innovation, where you can see all more details about what I mentioned today. I didn't put a lot of details, as I mentioned, but I'm happy answer some questions, and please forgive me because I just noticed that there were some typos and some mistakes and I apologize truly. I just prepared it this morning. So, and thank you very much for listening.
So thank you very much for Dr. Cassidy for giving us a good overview of the UNESCO and its activity. I think most of the members also from Paris. I think our communication team is also clapping us, Moira. So, and the floor is open for questions if you have, or you can write in the chat. I will ask on your behalf, or Sarah will unmute you and you can go ask directly yourself.
You are all available to unmute yourself, so please go ahead.
Moira.
Hello, thanks a lot for your presentation. I was very much interested in because myself, I work in space science, and of course, it's very, very important to find out how we can do space science and to share this around the world. And my question is, which are your specific questions at a regional scale? And this question came in my mind because I'm also in charge of International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics. And one of our huge problem is how to improve our connections with scientists, mainly in Southern Hemisphere. We know all that it's very, very important to bring them on the same boat and that science has no boundaries. So which are your concrete actions for regional science?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. First, regarding space science, it's one of the interesting topics that we are trying also to work on. In fact, we worked once with a partner who has developed a kind of online curricula for space science that was targeting school teachers. And it's a kind of curricula that can be customized, so the teachers get trained on how to customize it to tailor it to be suitable for their schools or so this is one of the activities we need to do more, and we are happy to meet with you separately and discuss based on what you do, how we can develop such a program. For the regional ones, yes, we have, first of all, UNESCO has, as I said, over 55 centers, offices around the world, regional offices and the national offices. And we, of course, we work very closely with our colleagues in the field. They are the ones who are working there on the ground to implement our programs, and it's their programs, of course, as well. And we work also directly with the national commissions. So each country, each member state has a national commission for UNESCO. So these are the ones that we work directly with. This is the direct access to the governments. And when we organize, for example, for the innovation boot camps, for example, we normally work on a regional level by working with one partner, and we bring the participants from all the different countries around, for example, 10-20 countries, in collaboration with their national commissions. We do calls, we do selection, and based on this, we bring them all together, and this is how we think we can enhance the impact, because then we are not working in individual countries, unless there is, of course, a specific programs in individual countries, but we try to work on the regional level by connecting these scientists together. Again, one of the things that we believe will enhance greatly the regional advancement in science is the remote access, because we give to a member, we issue calls. It's a really fair process. With our partners, we do the selection based on the applications, because we need to make sure also that those who are getting access can actually benefit from it, can use it. So this means they must have the minimal resources, such as some process labs, for example, or something like that. And we do the selection carefully, and we try to be as diverse as possible. And So these are, I believe, also they know each other because they receive the training together, so they can later collaborate with each other. And this is, I believe, one of the mechanisms that can enhance the science on a regional level.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you.
anyway, I'm based in Paris, so if it's
Okay.
possible, I'm ready to discuss with you in order to see what we can do a little bit more in regional
Perfect.
areas for
I'm
space
looking
science.
forward to. Please write to me and we can definitely meet here and we can discuss further.
Okay,
Thanks.
super. Thank you.
Do we have any further questions? So we are all these scientists. We are always politicians criticize us that we are not making a real impact. We are too much basic science, and we like very much your idea of making an impact of science. I think this is the new word the politicians are pushing us to pursue. So how can we, as a scientist, as a researcher, can make more impact on the science, and how UNESCO can come us, or how we can sail in the same boat?
Well, the scientists, of course, are the main the main engine to have impact on science. I think one of the important things for scientists is really to communicate their science, because we know that quite often the scientists do a great job, but really sometimes there are no enough ways for them or mechanisms to communicate their science and make their message clear. And I think this is something we can also help scientists in doing. And we organize lots of webinars, lots of conferences sometimes, and this is where we can deliver the message to the world, why science is important, as I explained. And one of the things is this coming conference in July, which I invite all of you to join us. It will be from 15th to the 17th of July. And if you just search for it on the website, on our website, you will see all the information. It will be a great opportunity where scientists come together, talk, speak, exchange, and then find out how, because the impact is there, the impact of science is there. But two important things: how to communicate it, and also how to explain out to the general public and to the governments, to the policymakers, that the impact of science is a long-term impact. And this is another very important thing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is what we need as a scientist, a researcher. We need a platform, and UNESCO has a platform. So we want to join hands with you, and we want to reach our science to the masses. And
With
thank you
pleasure.
very much for letting us know about the July. I think Sarah will take a note and will circulate the members who are interested to join you in July. Professor Martin has raised a hand. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
You are
Unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself first.
Okay, sorry. First of all, thank you very much for your outstanding talk. My question is the following. Typically, when we go for these UNESCO actions, I wanted to know three things. What is the leitmotif that makes you to identify the studies that will impact on the strategy? Typically, I can understand that sustainability and environment matters are key issues. Health could be key issues, but what is the strategy? Do you have any type of roadmap where you try to see what type of science and technology? Because I think without technology, we don't innovate. With what are the type of technology to solve gaps, real gaps that we identify, or you just make with the scientific proof, or you just identify a target and you make it happen?
Thank you very much for this question. No, actually, of course, we are governed by our strategic objectives that are being updated every 2 years, basically, or every. I mean, we have several models or mechanisms for objectives, and these are all by member states. Actually, we are the secretariat, so. We are intergovernmental organization, so member states come together to discuss what the priorities are, and we can also, of course, based on the experience of working directly on the ground, we also can suggest, and but we are on the service of member states, of course. And these are objectives that are approved by the executive board of UNESCO, and based on that we start implementing this. So these are our guiding strategy. Of course, there is a strategy that we have to follow. But under this strategy, in order to address each of the strategic objectives, we have to observe what's happening. For example, you mentioned technology. And as I mentioned, one important field such as quantum technology, we started to notice and observe that it is creating lots of momentum, and it will have consequences that we need also to be careful with, and we need to make sure the scientists in the different parts of the world are ready to face that. And that's why this was one of the initiatives, and it is under the strategic objectives that which is related to science, which is the basic and the fundamental science, to build the capacity in amazing, because this is one of our main mandates, fundamental sciences. So this actually addresses the fundamental sciences, but also addresses the technology, which is also another mandate we have. So we are governed, of course, by the strategic objectives that are guided or approved by member states, by the governments, and then our role comes to develop new innovative programs to address this. And for example, something like the remote access, it addresses the capacity building, which is one of our mandates. It's addressing international collaboration, which again one of our mandates, and so on. So we start our baseline here is the strategic objectives in what we call our C5, which is like the Bible for international organizations. So.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Professor Pere. Please go ahead, unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Sorry, is it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Pierre Bronstein, chemistry. Thank you for your talk. You seem surprised that the investment in the quantum technologies originate more from the private company than from the public sector. Second, you mentioned that your mandate is to promote basic science, but there is a major issue. Some countries who committed themselves to reach 3% of the national gross product to research have not been going beyond 2.2, which is a major contradiction. So there are beautiful speeches, actions do not follow. So they give you a mandate, and then what happens? They don't fulfill the promise and the commitment. Unfortunately, France is one of these countries.
Thank you very much for the quantum technologies. If I understood your question, you are saying I was surprised that it's moved from private to public. It did not move to public sector.
No. You looked surprised that it was more in the private sector
than
the investment were made, rather than in the public sector.
Okay, I'm not surprised. I'm stating it as a fact that
it's quite obvious.
I believe it should change. I believe this is a gap I define it as a gap between the private and the public sector, and I think we need to strengthen the private sector to be also advance also in this field. Some countries, yes, I mean, but also we need to remember also that if some countries promise to give or to allocate 3% of GDP to research, there are some others who allocate less than 5%, 0.5% or 1%. So that's a huge gap also that exists. If they don't fulfill this promise and they don't exceed 2.2, this is of course national policy that it's not for us to intervene in, but of course we work closely. We try to work with the policymakers to advocate on the importance of investing more and more in fundamental sciences. So this is, but of course, national policies are internal issues for each government, of course, and we respect that. But also for the governments that allocate much less, 1% or 0.5%, this is also a big problem. And again, we try to advocate for it. Besides the programs we develop to help the scientists in these countries, so we do both actually things. We build the capacity, we also advocate, and this is what we can do at UNESCO. So, thank you.
So, thank you. Before I proceed to Professor Armando, here's a question. UNESCO has shared a link in the chat. Please use these links if you are interested to join a conference, the first conference on the on sustainable development and impact. So please take a note of this from 15 to 17 July 2026. And now I go back to Professor Armando.
Well, thank you, Dr. Amal, for the very, very interesting talk. My question is very practical, so I'm sorry for that. But do you have does UNESCO has any program for sponsoring initiatives that are within, of course, the mission of UNESCO? Things like conferences, organization of international conferences, reports, exchange visits, and so on. That is a program where an independent initiative of any institution could approach UNESCO and ask for sponsorship. And sponsorship, I mean, not only financial, but it can also have other forms of sponsorship. So is there any available general program for that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. I would put it in a different way. It's not really sponsorship because we don't fund or sponsor directly events, but we work with partners on big events. For example, if there is a conference or that can address one or more of our priorities, we work with partners on organizing such events or conferences. For fellowships, we have, again, with partners. For example, the AMBL one, this is with AMBL because they actually sponsor it, but we, from our side, because we have the privilege of having direct access to government, so we can mobilize participants, we can mobilize young people or who can benefit from these fellowships. So this is what we do with partners, but we cannot directly sponsor these kind of fellowships. So we have to work with partners towards this. So we have several, for example, we have fellowship program on green chemistry. So we issue calls. There are some procedures for that. We issue call, we receive applications, we select. But again, as I said, we work with partners to do that.
Okay. So logistic you can provide us. Logistic support you provides, right?
It depends on the program. It depends.
Yeah, programs, sustainability,
depends on the program.
Sustainability, quantum, green energy.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have any further questions. So if not, then Sarah, are we at the end of the closing?
Okay. Yes, that's correct. Okay. We are almost 1 hour in.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
as you wish. Yeah, if there's no further question, I'd like to thank again to Dr. Amal Kasri for accepting our invitation and giving us a tour of all the scientific activity which UNESCO is interested in doing it. And having said that, we are also very much interested to sail in the same boat to help us, because politicians are pushing us to make an impact of the science. They say, okay, this piece of paper, we are not interested. We need an impact. So it should be to the public. So we are very much interested for any of the collaboration or activity where we can, as an academy, can contribute. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much once more for the kind invitation. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.